Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors in Winston-Chester. I'm glad you're here this morning. Got a great show lined up. Got a special guest here, but first, let's take a look at our weather brought to us by Gulf Coast Air Conditioning up there in Southport. Drew Potter and hard-working crew. We're looking at a high today of 88, low 75. Water temperature at the end of the pier, 87 degrees. The high today, like I say, it's not going to get a 90, so what's good about that? The last week or so, we haven't gotten a 90, so that's good when I say high of 88. Our river reading is brought to us by Mountain Dew. Get out and do. Take a look at a big river, the Apalachicola Bluffstown. The last couple of days, it's been high. That little chart there shows you how they open the gates up at the dam for a day or so, and then boom, it popped up. But it's falling back out. It's at a 5.6 this morning. The Choctawhatchee, with the rain we're having, up over 5, is at a 6.5. Just the opposite, it's 6.5, and it's going to be just going what the rain does this week, but it's going to start leveling off a little bit the next day or two anyway, but the weekend we don't know yet. The tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn. Neap tide, we're not in a tidal movement today. The wind's going to be coming out of northeast at about, they're calling it for about 6 today, not much wind factor. All right, let's take a break and we'll be right back with our guest. Okay, welcome back, and welcome back to Steve Shea. Welcome back this morning.
Glad to be back, Winston.
Look, we just ran out of time the other day. I said we're going to have him coming on next weekend. Here he is, and we still got a lot more stuff.
Yeah, a bunch of videos still to go through. Yeah.
A lot's going on. So recapping what we're doing, you know, he runs Shea Wildlife Services, right? Basically.
Yeah. And one of the things I'm contracted to do as a certified wildlife biologist, I help Alligator Farm, the largest farm in Florida, and I do all their alligator nest surveys. The FWC requires a certified biologist to oversee the collection of eggs on private lands. And so I do that for this farm. And Winston, I've talked to you for years about doing this, and I've been doing it for over 30 years. Someone said that I've been doing it so long that I probably have seen more alligator nests than anyone that's still doing it. I've probably have, yeah. I try to count one day how many nests I've actually put my eyes on. It's probably over 50,000 nests that I've seen in the last 30 years. Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. But so we're going to talk about the egg collection process today.
We got some of the comments and compliments after the show and all. Thank you all for feedback. And I said we're going to finish it up. But hopefully, we still got more stuff to talk about. But anyway, we have some more video. We're going to work our way through the video. But you were talking about the farms and all. Where are the alligator farms located where they buy the eggs? And all?
There's several farms in Florida. There's a bunch of them in Louisiana as well, and there's a farm or two in Georgia and Texas. But the two big states for collecting alligator eggs is Louisiana and Florida. Yeah. And it's completely different. Louisiana is all the big coastal marshes where they collect the eggs. And when they fly those surveys, they actually have stakes that they throw down and stick in the mud with a flag on it, and the airboats will go to find the nest that they mark. Where Florida, it's done different because the habitat's different. Yeah. But you know, the big thing in Louisiana is because those are coastal marshes, the salinity of the marsh is what will determine how many nests there'll be that year. And lately it's been, real high salinity, so the number of eggs being harvested from Louisiana has been down. Where Florida is stable, the eggs are there.
Interesting point. So we're going to just work our way through these and just see what, and Steve's going to talk to them.
And just as a setup, when you're looking for the video, is when the helicopter pilot drops us off in the marsh, we're solo. We're all by ourselves. And so we carry, those telescoping boat hooks. Well, we'll have that with us, and we use it to prod in the water to make sure if we bump that female, we'll know where she's at. And then we also use it to tap her on the nose to get her off the nest when we're collecting the eggs. But you have the basket that you collect the eggs in, you have that telescoping boat hook, and then we have a pack where we mark the eggs. But that's all you have, so you don't have any defense other than yourself.
You don't have a pistol?
No.
Okay, here we go. Let's check this first one out. What we got?
Oh yeah, this is a typical scenario. I'm actually walking up to this nest, and you can see the female on top of the nest guarding the nest. And lots of times these females, the other day I said the same females will nest in the same place every year. Well, they've kind of learned when they hear the helicopter, they know what's coming. So they'll actually crawl up on the nest because they know there's going to be someone to come in there to harvest the eggs. So that's an example of what you see is that female laying up there, and then I walk up and I try to get her off the nest so I can collect the eggs. Yeah.
They're not in a good mood, are they, when they do that?
No. I was telling you last week, Winston, that usually 50 to 60% of the nests that you approach, you'll have alligators that will give you problems.
Okay, what about this one here?
Okay, this is, once we get back to the LZ, we candle the eggs. This shows me going through the candling process. Those eggs that have that pink hue to it, that shows that there's a live embryo in there. The blood vessels actually give it that pink hue. That one there, you can see how it's yellow color.
Yeah.
That means that embryo most likely died during the incubation process, so that egg would be discarded. It would be considered a bad egg. And you can see the difference between that egg and when we go to the next, I don't know if the video stopped there.
It's just going to freeze up. It's just, okay.
Yeah, but so that egg would be removed because that's a dead embryo in that shell.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And how many, going back, how many eggs they have?
Yeah, I've seen anywhere from the high teens to up to 60 is a really big nest. But you average 30 to 35 eggs per nest. That's what you'll actually collect after you candle them. So that's the average.
Okay.
Yeah. The other thing too is and I talked about the fire ants in the marsh.
Yeah.
Those fire ants are terrible. The marsh is a high mound in the marsh, and it's really warm because that decomposition process of the vegetation, and it's perfect for fire ants. And so you open that nest up to get the eggs out, and the fire ants are just
all over you,
tearing you up.
Okay, here, this is Juan. What's going on?
Yeah, this is a guy I work with. This shows from the air, so that alligator's guarding the nest, and so he's walking up, tapping her, trying to get her back in the water so he can collect the eggs. So that's a typical process, and that was an easy one. Sometimes you just tap them on that nose, and the bill of an alligator is hard bone. So when you tap them on the nose, even if you smack them as hard as you can, it doesn't hurt them at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a good idea. Okay, one more before the break. Okay, check this one out.
All right, yeah, and this is another approaching a nest, and you can see the female. She's actually up on the nest, guarding the nest. And you can tell she's not happy.
Look at that mouth.
Yeah, and she'll actually approach the alligator, approach the helicopter. She's just trying to show her veracity to try to say, hey, if you're a predator, you don't want to mess with me. Don't come near this nest. And that's a big female there. That's probably a 9-foot class female.
Look at her coming at the helicopter.
But you see that green grass in the front? That's actually grass growing over a canal. So in order to get to that nest, when the pilot drops me off, I have to wade through that grass, lots of times chest deep, and try to find out where that female is so she doesn't mess with me going to the nest. So
wow.
It can be hairy at times. Yeah.
You could do a TV show like Crocodile Man or something like that, Alligator Man. You ever worry about snakes and all wading through there?
I never see snakes.
Really?
All the marsh, you think you'd see a lot of cottonmouths. Very rarely do I see a snake.
That's interesting. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back with Steve. Okay, welcome back. Steve Shea, Shea Wildlife Services, and he's an expert on gators. You can see some amazing footage here, but you're talking about female don't scare you as much as a male. Tell that story.
Yeah, well, the female, when you're approaching a nest, she's guarding the nest. She just wants you to leave. So she's not thinking about eating you. She's wanting to scare you away. But lots of times when the pilot drops us off in a marsh, we'll have to wade, sometimes pretty long distance, 100, 200 yards sometimes to get to the nest. What you're afraid of is a big bull alligator. A big bull, he's in the marsh and he's thinking about eating. So if you're walking through the marsh, and you're his prey base size, so I'm more fearful of an unknown big male out there that may see me coming through the marsh and looks at me like he's going to want to attack me and eat me. We've never had that happen, but the females, you know where they're at, and you can kind of mitigate the circumstances and enhance your safety. But those big males that you don't know there, those are the ones that worry me more. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, for instance, this one, let's see, right here what we got.
So here's the typical scenario where there's like a little island and there's the alligator nest up on the hill, and that female is in the canal guarding the nest. So when the pilot drops us off, we'll actually have to wade across that canal to get to the nest. And so it's that's where it's dangerous. Because,
that's what you're talking about.
Because she'll actually come up to you and you're prodding her off and you're waist deep in water, and then she submerges and you're like, oh, where's she at?
Oh, man.
So it can be hairy at times.
Okay, this next one now, this is amazing. Our technology is working. It's working good this morning. All right, tell us about this one.
Okay, yeah, and here's an example where I just harvested the eggs off the nest, but this female kept coming up trying to run me off. So I'm trying to get her back in the water, and so I'm trying to tap her. See, she almost got me.
Ooh,
and so she lunged at me, and I got back, and then finally I was able to get her back in the water. But that happens a lot. I mean, they'll actually lunge, and we'll show you some more video later on. A lot of people don't think, but when an alligator runs fast, their actually front legs will come off the ground.
Really?
I've seen them where they run so fast and the front legs actually come elevated like 1 to 2 feet off the ground because they're running so fast. And it's amazing. I've seen them do it several times. But most people just see them in the water and don't know they can actually do that. They're very fast, straight line. You know, they can't move because the differences between the wheelbase of their legs makes it hard. Here's another example, nest that I'm approaching. You see that the mound right up next to that palm tree, and the female's just nestled up, you know, and it's hard when you video. Here I'm holding my phone in one hand and I'm trying to tap her away, so sometimes the alligator's not centered in the video. But this is classic what happens all the time. You come up, you try to get that female back in the water so you can harvest the eggs. Sometimes they'll stay and they won't come back, and other times they'll probably approach you 3-4 times, you know, during the egg collection process. So,
what's the lifespan with the female? When is she having eggs?
Well, it depends on its length. Usually it'll take a female 8 to 10 years before she'll be reproductive.
Okay.
A lot of it is based on their physical size and when they become reproductively mature. So it's about in the wild about, I'd say, average 10 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, here's another example. I think we showed this video where the female guarding the nest. You know.
Oh, she's guarding it. So
Yeah.
So we got that one. Okay.
Yeah. And these females, you know, like I said, is lots of times these alligators will nest in the same place. We've harvested their eggs for years, you know. But there's so many. When you do an alligator survey, there's so many nests that you don't find. You may find 50% of the nests on the landscape. So there's no shortage of alligators reproduction happening on these properties. So the eggs, they say, oh, you collected that female's eggs for 10 years in a row. I said, yeah, but the one next to her that we couldn't see, we haven't collected that for 10 years either. But these females, they'll hear that helicopter, and they even though they have a small brain, they remember. I said, oh, I remember it happened last time this helicopter came. So they'll immediately crawl up on the nest because they know that you're going to try to harvest the eggs. So
they're conditioned to that.
Yeah. So I've seen that happen several times. This is a really cool video. We filmed this 2 years ago, but I was actually in the helicopter here. We saw that the alligator ran the collector off the nest and grabbed his pole. So he can't get near the nest now because he can't get his pole. And so we were trying to haze the alligator off the nest so he could get back in there. That alligator grabs a hold of the helicopter skid.
Oh my goodness.
And then finally it went back in the water. But so this alligator was so aggressive that it actually ran the collector off the nest, grabbed a hold of his pole, and then he had no way to get her off because he was just standing there, you know.
Let's watch that again. Okay. So okay, I see the pole right there. Look at her mouth is open. Look at her.
So she snapped that, grabbed the skid of the helicopter, and then we went back, and I'm in the helicopter, you can see me up in there, and we went back to haze it away again, and it actually grabs a hold of the skid and actually lifts off the ground a little bit when the pilot starts to leave.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that just shows you how aggressive they can be sometimes.
And you know, there's a huge helicopter and all that noise, and yet that alligator is attacking it.
Yeah, and I think I told one of these stories last week. Last year I had two of the scariest experiences I ever had collecting. One of them, there's a bunch grass, and lots of times they'll make a nest, and there's a grass that grows up and mushrooms off, and it's about thigh high. And so the female was coming up. I could hear her hissing, but I really couldn't see her. And so I was tap, trying to find her, and I couldn't see, and she grabbed the pole. And then she rushed me and turned her head, and the pole took the legs right out from me, and I fell down in the grass. And so the grass, she really couldn't see me, but she was laying right over me. Her mouth was right over my behind. And I'm laying there, and I could see her back foot right there in front of me. And it took a little while for her to finally leave, and I told her she actually knocked my hat off as she turned and her tail hit me in the head. Yeah. So that was a really scary one. But one that was even scarier, there's an exotic grass that grows in Florida, invasive species called Kogan grass. and there was a canal and a big levee, and the alligator nested on the low side of the levee, so I could not see the water, and I couldn't see where she was at. So I'm collecting the eggs, and all of a sudden I heard something. I looked up, and she was, just like I said, her front legs were off the ground. She was running, and I just rolled. I mean, I had half the eggs collected in the tray. Yeah. I rolled off the nest, and she was right on grabbed a hold of that tray, and just shook all the eggs over, broke that tray in half.
Oh,
and I was like, oh gosh.
Wow.
So it happened that fast. That's
scary. Wow. All right, we're going to take a final break. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. Let's take a look at our fishing game time today, brought to us by Blue Water Outriggers in Port St. Joe. Our time this morning, 1:57 to 3:57, and this evening after lunch, 2:19 to 4:19. Before we get back to the Gators now, Steve has started something. I got an email from Danny Joe Strentz, wanted to ask about hunters for the hungry, because they're shooting some hogs now. That's still going strong.
Hunters for the Hungry has been operating in Florida now for about 5 years. We've been doing it in Panama City for 4 years. Cody at the Deer Shack is the processor who participates with us. We fundraise. We pay for all the processing. All you have to do is drop a deer hog off and say, I'm donating it for the Hunters for the Hungry. And they'll process it, and we send all the meat to Christian food banks here in Panama City. First Methodist Church and Catholic Charities get all the meat and distribute it to those in need.
And I know some of these food banks, some of the people now are coming up, do you have any deer meat left?
Oh yeah, they actually come and request it. Yeah, they like it. Yeah.
Okay, let's get back to the Gators and all. Talking about the price of eggs, you're talking about recently the price went really high. We started worrying about poachers.
Yeah, a few years ago, prices went up to $40 to $50 per egg. So that means every nest that they find, you can get $1,000 to $1,500 per nest. Well, just like anything else, when prices go through the roof, illegal activity starts. So there was some poaching of eggs going on, and the FWC had a couple of big kind of sting operations where they kind of curbed that really quickly when they saw that there was illegal activity going on. We would, though, some of the eggs that we harvested property, we'd go and we'd find where the eggs were already harvested before we even did our collection. So poaching got rampant for a few years there, and but the FWC law enforcement quickly put an end to that. So,
good deal. Yeah. And you're talking about Louisiana, Florida, and that's the two gator areas and all, but it's a different kind of DNA and a different kind of egg?
Yeah, it's in Florida, the belly hide is the part of the alligator that they make all the products from. They make some hornback on the back, but it's the belly hide. In Florida, the genetics of the alligators here, where they have a real uniform checkered pattern on their belly. Louisiana alligators, it's more irregular.
Okay.
And so because of the uniform checkered pattern, the Florida alligators are more valuable. So Louisiana was getting hatchlings from Florida for their farms over there because of the quality of the hides. But then the landowners in Louisiana didn't like that because they wanted them to collect them from there. So there ended up being this kind of financial war. So I think they're kind of used as a disease issue going on right now. They say, oh, we're not taking hatchlings from Florida anymore because of the disease issue. Well, on the farms in Florida, they look to see that there's no disease issue. Yeah. So they're just trying to find a way to kind of control the market. It's just like,
I guess they're trying to parallel chronic wasting disease that the gators have, but they don't. That's interesting. Yeah. I got about a minute or two left, Steve. We're talking, this is a busy time of year for you in Shea Wildlife because you're doing what?
Yeah, I'm doing camera surveys. I manage close to 500,000 acres now, but on a lot of those properties, I'll do camera surveys for deer. And so right now I'm doing photo analysis every single day to try to get these reports in before the archery season comes in South Florida. So it's just a busy time of year for me.
And you actually, you're in front of the camera 7-8 hours a day, you said? Or?
Yeah, we have to identify every unique buck on the property from the antler conformation, and then we age, what I'll do is I'll age those deer, put them into age classes, 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, 5.5 years old or older. So I'll tell what the age structure is, I'll identify the management bucks and then the shooter bucks on the property. For the shooter bucks, I'll estimate the Boone and Crockett score. So these are all things I do for these large landowners.
But it seems like a lot more fun getting out and looking for the gator eggs and sitting in front of that.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool. We'll have to do a show on the camera.
Well, I was going to say, next month, I'm going to get Steve to come on pretty regular now because so many things he does are so interesting. And we're going to get him up to talk to some of the high school classes about, doing things in wildlife biology and all, because there's so many things like this. So it's just fun.
Yeah, we need good wildlife biologists in the field.
We're running short of them, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say we're short of them, but it has changed a lot. Back in the old days, there's hunter-fishermen were the ones that went to be wildlife biologists. Now it's more the environmentally minded students, and there's
don't catch them.
And there's a big difference because hunting is still important.
I had thought about that. Yeah, so we need to talk about it some more.
Okay.
Real quick, one more quick question. This is August, September, October are your 3 busy months.
Those are real busy for camera surveys.
For the camera survey and all.
Yeah.
And are you seeing some really big deer on camera?
Yeah, I'm seeing some crazy ones this year. Drop tine bucks. I mean, some of these areas that I manage have a high age structure. You start to see real irregular antler conformation. So I'll have to bring in some photos, show you some of the things that we find. Yeah.
We'll do showing that next, and you probably tell them they have to harvest some of these. I mean.
Oh yeah. One of the biggest things I see on these large ranches is they have such a low harvest pressure that a lot of these management bucks keep on being perpetuated in the population. Yeah.
I've got to go, Steve. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Winston. Enjoyed it.
Do something good today for your fellow man. Have a great day, and God bless.
God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.